Catherine the Great was not Russian, as many believe. She was of German origin. As a teenager, she had only 3 dresses and 12 blouses, and yet she became the Empress of Russia and ruled over many millions of subjects for 34 years. This shows us where you can go if you really want something. In reality, her name was not Catherine, but Sophia Augusta Frederica, or Figchen for short. She was the daughter of Prince August Christian of Anhalt-Zerbst and his wife Princess Johanna Elizabeth of Holstein-Gottorp, and was born in Stettin, Pomerania, on May 2, 1729. At the age of 14, Figchen was called by Empress Elizabeth to Russia to marry Grand Duke Peter, the heir to the throne. So she packed her 3 dresses and 12 blouses, said goodbye to her old house full of memories, and set off on her journey through life. And what do you think the poor girl was thinking as she left her father, whom she would never see again, as she said goodbye to her many relatives and set off for a foreign land? Well, she was simply delighted. When she arrived in Russia, Figchen threw away her old clothes and began to wear only furs, silks, and splendid jewelry, gifts from the Empress Elizabeth. Her name was changed to Catherine Alexeyevna, and the following year she married Peter in the most lavish wedding ever seen. She wore a diamond crown and a dress all gold and silver, and everything was far too wonderful, except that she had no feelings for the groom. As Catherine found out that very night, Russia has a gift for strange companions. Peter climbed into bed with his shoes on, played with dolls for about an hour, and told the Grand Duchess about his new mistresses. Then he turned over on his other side and began to snore. And for 9 years things went on in the same routine, until Peter moved to a separate bed. I suppose he simply hadn't thought of it before. A few years later, he was found dead, the evidence indicating that it was a homicide, and Catherine was held partly responsible. But even the thought. Meanwhile, the household was short of children and Russia of heirs to the throne. Peter played imperturbably with dolls, but in 1754 Catherine gave birth to a little boy who looked very much like Sergei Saltykov, a young man with whom she used to discuss the events of the day. Some historians believe that the father may have been Peter himself, since the child came to resemble her in character and values. Well, they were both idiots, but what does that prove? Then Saltykov moved out of town, and Catherine showed interest in Poland, or rather, in Count Stanislav Poniatowski. Her next child was named Anna. A son named Bobrinsky followed, and 2 or 3 little girls, born after she met Grigory Orlov, a huge and handsome man in the Imperial Guard. By 1762, Catherine had been in Russia for 18 years and was beginning to get used to it. But here's what happened. Empress Elizabeth died from her cherry liqueur, and Peter succeeded her to the throne as Peter III. 6 months later, with the help of Grigory Orlov and his brothers, Catherine deposed him, threw him in prison, and proclaimed herself empress. In all the excitement, the Russians forgot that she was a foreigner with no right to the throne, so here they were, somewhat to their own surprise, with a German woman in charge. Things were rather sad with Peter. A few days after his arrest, he died suddenly in Ropsha, while Alexis Orlov and a few other friends of the empress were by his side. Catherine announced that he had died of renal colic, and people who went to the funeral wondered why he had a large bandage tied around his neck. What happened next in Catherine's life might have been different if she had been allowed to marry Grigory Orlov. Or perhaps not. For 10 years she kept in touch with him, until his Herculean body began to creak here and there, making him unfit for the affairs of state. It was said that Catherine had 300 lovers. She had only 10 or 12, to be honest, and a few more, according to the most credible accounts, and some of them for only a few days or a week at most. She certainly did not have them all at once. She had them one after the other. A modern biographer states, without a shadow of a doubt, that Catherine never learned to love. Well, at least she tried.